All right, hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Sleeping with the Numbers podcast. Dylan back for the playoffs. Did not have an episode for the wild card. I was out and about betting. Was really what I was doing pretty much the whole super wild card weekend. But if you follow the website, you know where to go already at our sleepingwiththenumbers.com/bets. You would have been able to tail all of the bets there. Didn't put down my prop bets on the site because the show doesn't really do prop bets. Maybe that's something we'll incorporate next year. That could be fun. Maybe I can pull in my buddy who does a lot of prop betting for it. That's actually who I was hanging out with this past weekend, and we did a lot of prop betting. Really fun, super fun stuff. It goes good and it goes bad. He hit on like all but one of the games on the first touchdown score, which was nuts. Like especially the Dawson Knox one, that was absurd that he got that one. But we did a lot of that. It was a lot of fun. This show, we're more focused on the I don't want to call them easier, on the more simple straight bets that we do here. So obviously, been a little bit since we had a show. You may have noticed no bets during week 18. We do not bet during the final week of the season. There's a lot going on. There are teams that are resting their players. There are teams that have nothing to play for, so it's all their backups. We have some games where it's basically a playoff game, and everything matters. So it's just easier to sit back, relax, enjoy the week 18 games, and it's just easier that way. And then the model also would not perform as well during week 18, so I don't want to give you guys model picks and have them be shitty picks, because the model is obviously all data-based. It is pulling stats from previous games, and those stats are going to be from players that are sitting. Lamar Jackson last week. The model, I ran it just for fun, and the model had the Baltimore Ravens winning by a lot, obviously, because Baltimore versus Pittsburgh last week of the season. Yeah, no shit. But model doesn't know half the team's fucking sitting, so I wasn't going to give you that bet. We weren't going to bet that. We know it wouldn't have gone well because my Pittsburgh Steelers beat them. And then we lost immediately in the wild card. So that was basically expected. All good. We had zero expectations going into that, so no problems there. But great, fun wild card weekend. Miami looked absolutely horrible. Kansas City came in, did what they did, pretty much expected. Green Bay routing the Dallas Cowboys was hilarious. We were at a bar here in Texas with a bunch of Cowboy fans, and they were all losing their minds. It was fantastic. Absolutely recommend seeing that once in your life, probably many times in your life, given how the Cowboys perform. And they're bringing back Mike McCarthy. Dummies. Other games, Bills Steelers. That game went pretty much how you expected, so not a lot to talk about there. Eagles just looked outplayed by Tampa Bay. The Bays, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, they're doing work. And I am excited to see what they do going forward, because they've been fantastic, honestly. And I don't like saying that about Baker Mayfield, but he looks on fire. And we actually had a ton of prop bets on him with his yards and touchdowns, and it went great, which was very weird for us to see. But all in all, it was a good time. So, I mean, this is probably going to be a short episode. There's not that many games to talk about. We only got 4 games here for the divisional round. We got Houston, Baltimore, Green Bay, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Detroit, and Kansas City, Buffalo. Only 2 days of football this time. Not nearly as fun. But hey, we're going to hop into it, see how we do moving forward, continuing on with the model. And let's hop right into it with the first game on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. my time. Or no, that's Eastern time. Yeah, so 3:30 my time. Houston versus Baltimore. Baltimore is 9.5 point home favorites. Over under set at 43.5. Now, Mark Andrews was practicing. He got in full practices. But now reports are saying that it doesn't look like he's going to be activated for this game, which is interesting. And to me, it kind of says one of two things. And I hope it's the that sounds stupid. I think it's one of two things. One, he is ready to come back, but maybe he can use a little bit more rest, which almost indicates that they're looking past Houston, which is a big mistake. I do not think they should do that. Two, he actually isn't ready to go. The injury is still lingering. However, if that was the case, I don't think he'd be getting in these full practices like it says that he is. So that's a little bit of a weird one. You would think they would want everything and everyone back for a super important playoff game, but it doesn't sound like he's coming back. So watch and see what happens there. I hope they're not looking past Houston. I don't think they are. Baltimore is a pretty well-run team. But hey, we'll see. 9.5 point favorites. That is large. Ravens play phenomenal at home. Should be a little colder. It's not going to be like Kansas City was this past week. I don't take too much stock into that. Houston looked great. CJ Stroud looked great. Absolutely embarrassed Cleveland, which we all knew that was going to happen. Being a Steelers fan my entire life and watching Cleveland fail is just always such a guarantee. It's so easy. So betting on Houston last week was awesome, even though the model picked Cleveland, dummy. But I really like Houston. They are the team I hope wins it all at this point with the Steelers out of it. They are just a fun and exciting young team. And hey, it'll be really cool to see what they can do against, I think the best team left in the playoffs, which is the Baltimore Ravens. So with that said, just kind of quick glances here at how I feel. I am more than willing to take the Texans spread here. Might wait a little closer to game time to see if it gets any larger. Currently 9.5. I'm more than willing to take that. I think it's going to be a shootout, and because I think it's going to be a shootout, the over 43.5 sounds fantastic. I think it can go back and forth. Baltimore obviously has a fantastic offense. Houston, somehow their offense is only ranked 12th, but they're still very good. Both defenses also pretty solid, but I don't think it matters. I think it is going to be CJ Stroud versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar should win this one. I think that will be the case, but Houston to cover is a very enticing bet for me, and the over 43.5. That sounds great. The model has Baltimore at an 81.572% win probability. Even found a slight edge at minus 410, 1.179 edge, but as you know, those odds are too long for us. We don't bet anything less than minus 200. So while the model thinks Baltimore will win, we will not get a bet in on that game from the model. Moving on to the next game, Saturday Night Football. We have Green Bay versus San Francisco. Also a 9.5 point game. San Francisco favored at home. Over under 50.5. Now that shocks me a little bit. I understand what the Packers did to Dallas and really put it on them. I don't think the Niners are going to let that happen. It'd be funny if it did, but I do not think Kyle Shanahan coming into here, multiple weeks to prepare, I just do not think that's going to happen. So I lean towards the under here. You hope for the over, you bet the under is really what this always turns into. If I had to pick, I really want the Packers to win. I think that would, again, just be fun. I want something new happening in the playoffs here. This Niners team is very good. That's pretty easy to say. Does Brock Purdy's problems continue into the playoffs? Was that time off enough to get him straight? That's the question that's going to need to be answered. And the model, seeing Purdy's last performance really took that into account, because the model is only giving San Francisco a 10% chance of winning, which is absurd. But hey, that's what it's doing. It's giving the Packers 0.993, get a little bit of rounding here, 90% chance of winning with a 0.16% edge for Green Bay. So the model loves Green Bay to bet on here at plus 380. Not only are they betting on them, they think they will win the game. It's a tough hill. That's a big hill to climb. I think the Baltimore-Houston game will be closer, but Green Bay is playing on just another level that you caught glimpses of it during the regular season, but for the most part, I think it was still surprising to see what they've become. So, with that said, I think the Niners pull it off here. That 9.5 spread. Let's look at their latest games. Man, when the Niners win, they fucking win. Their latest wins here. One by 16, one by 8, 13. I'm sorry, 23. 3, which is against the Panthers, which is weird. Loss against Tampa Bay, loss against New York. That was weird. Beat the Chiefs by 8, beat Detroit by 7. Yeah, there's been some close games. Let's see how many times the spread has hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm looking at the Packers. I'm so sorry. This is wrong. I'm looking at the Packers. Oh, that might just go against my point here. Anyways, Niners lost against the Rams by 1 point. Beat Washington by 17. Got blown out by Baltimore. Beat the Cardinals by 16. Beat Seattle by 12. Philly by 3? 23. Okay. Yeah. So when they are favored, they've been favored every game of the year. The only team to do so. They have covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the 17 games. So the majority, technically, but still pretty close there. So maybe I do want the Packers to on the spread here. I just read off their lines and they've been blowing people out too. So okay, I'm willing to take the Packers on the spread. This one's a bit more of a coin toss. I have more faith in Houston than the Packers currently, even though I get it. The Packers look great. That's just me in my mind. I lean towards the under 50.5 here. I do think the Niners get the win, but the model taking the Packers to win and to bet on at plus 380. Tampa Bay, Detroit. Detroit 6.5 point home favorites. I like Tampa Bay. I do. I don't know if there's some bias coming in here, but man, they have been on a tear. Winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of their last 7. Man, they just look so good. Detroit, super fun team as well. I thought the Rams were going to take it last week. They didn't. They end up winning by 1. Super close game for them. Man, I feel good for you, Lions fans. You get your playoff win. That feels great. I personally think the Bucs win here, so I'll take them to cover the 49.5. That's a high line as well, and I mean the Bucs just put it on Philly, which probably I can't say that. They're not that much better than Detroit on defense, but yeah, they put up some points here. Baker has just been doing it, getting everyone involved. It was all the background characters that were getting the points, which sucked because I had a damn Rashard White and Mike Evans touchdown that never came. Man, yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay. I liked what I saw out of them. I think that'll be good. The over-under, fuck it. It'll be a fun game. Over 49.5. Let's go for that as well. The model has Tampa Bay to win and has an edge at plus 240 with a 36.804% edge. So the model in agreement with me for Tampa Bay to get it done in Detroit. Final game here, probably, definitely the closest matchup. Is it the most fun? Not so sure about that. But we have Kansas City taking on Buffalo in Buffalo. Who knows how much snow is going to be there again? People might have to sit on piles of snow yet again, that's fun if you're not there. But Kansas City traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo, maybe somewhat surprisingly, 3-point home favorites. Kansas City, 3-point dog. Both of these teams 12-6 to end out the regular season. Over-under set at 45.5. I do like the under here. I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle than we would think. You look at Josh Allen, you look at Patrick Mahomes, you see those big names, you immediately think over, and it's easy to do that. But this is a different type of football. We got playoff football, cold weather, good defenses. It's just not all cylinders go for them on offense like it has been in years past. So I think this game will be a bit lower scoring. So I'll take the under 45.5 here. And I think Kansas City wins. I don't want to say, I hate saying it. I don't want them to win. I want them to lose. But the Bills, they're just known for mucking it up here in the playoffs. And Kansas City doesn't. So I lean the Kansas City side. So across the board here, I seem to be taking the dog spread. The model here has the Bills, taking the Bills to win with a 72.482% win probability. Also found an edge on Buffalo at minus 144, a 13.466% edge. So the model betting on Buffalo here. Yeah, I lean that other side, sadly, but here we go. This is it. Playoff football, best time of the year. And we'll see what happens. This is an exciting one. San Francisco is still favored to win the Super Bowl. There's probably a good bet on Baltimore if you want to take it. They have a tougher road there probably, which is likely why they're longer shot odds. But I think there's some edge there, so that's worth betting on. But that's it. Quick one here, not even 20 minutes. I didn't even get to talk that long, but we're back. Playoff football, not a ton to talk about here. And we're going to keep grinding it out. We're still up for the year. We made 0.1 units last week, which is pathetic. But that's where we ended up at. The model had 3 losses with Pittsburgh, Miami, and Cleveland. And then wins in Detroit, Tampa Bay, and Houston. And then I had the under 43.5 for Kansas City, Miami. I also have Miami +5 and Pitt +10. That didn't work. And then the under for Rams, Detroit, under 52. That hit. So we ended up making 0.1 of a unit, which in my units, that's $1. So whatever, profit's profit. Can't complain, but it's just kind of funny to look at when we're here. So not that great of a week. There's not as many games to bet on here, so it makes it a little less volatile, but less opportunity to win bigger amounts of money. But still, we're up 53.46 units overall. Can't complain here, and we're going to keep grinding it out till the end of the season. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week when we get into the conference championships.